Hi, everybody. Welcome to another YouTube video from We Go Podcast. I am your host, Taria. So, still trying to work out that intro, but we're here. So, there's some things I wanted to talk to y'all about, going over in my mind, like I need to have these discussions with somebody. So I said, let me go ahead and make a video. So first of all, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. For all of you who are already subscribed, thank you so much. And I just have to say, there are so many people that came over from Kempire. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Y'all already know I think Kempire is amazing. And um, I am just so glad that I got to have him on my podcast and we got to meet up at BravoCon. And if you have not already, make sure you check out our recap of BravoCon and all the things we get into depth over on Kempire Radio. So make sure you check that out. And it's also, in the words of Kempire, the podcast. I don't say it as good as he does, but that is on Apple, Spotify, all those things. But so I just want to say thank y'all so much for everybody that came over and was like, Kempire sent me over here. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all and thank you. So make sure you also subscribe to the What Else Is Going On podcast, aka WeGo. So for those of you that don't know, you'll see WEIGO podcast, WeGo podcast. That stands for What Else Is Going On. You can find that podcast wherever you find all of your podcasts. So I have never covered it on the podcast. I've always wanted to, but just I haven't. But it's not just Bravo that I watch a lot of the things. And one of the things is Belle Collective and Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now I had kind of fallen off a little bit. Love and Marriage Huntsville, it used to be like priority viewing. It's not always hardly ever priority viewing. It's like, let me get through my stuff and watch. But I do watch. Belle Collective is a little bit higher up on the priority list. But I thought Carlos King did I'll say an interesting thing. So I guess what he's going to have now is talent from his different shows sit down and talk to one another. So the first one he did was LaTisha from Belle Collective and Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I just want to talk. I watched it and then I went back and watched a little bit more of it to make sure I didn't miss some things. And there was a couple of things that stuck out to me. So I was like, let me talk to y'all about it. So I don't know if y'all watched, but again, I thought it was something interesting that he had these two ladies sitting down. So remember, we're talking about LaTisha from Belle Collective and Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville. I will say, I know audio isn't always perfect. I know content creators, whether it's podcasts, I know I recently had a podcast where the audio was a little bit shaky due to the AirPods. So I know that it happens, but I felt like it kept going out on them. But I still not heard, but I still was able to hear it and pull some things out that really, really, really stood out to me. And I want to say that Love and Marriage Huntsville has filmed their reunion, as has Belle Collective. So let's get into some of the things. The first thing I noticed was LaTisha. Remember, LaTisha from Belle Collective was talking to Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville. I noticed that LaTisha kept comparing her old self to Tisha, right? So she would be like, I was just like you. I was just like you. Not even like, I was just like how you used to be, but very much I was stay at home. My husband ran things. Like she kept doing that throughout the interview. So I'm interested. I would love to know the conversation that Tisha had off screen with maybe some of her girlfriends or even with Marceau, because LaTisha kept saying, I used to be like you. Again, I used to be like you. Yo, why it look like my mic is crooked? Did it fall on its head? Look. I mean, it has fallen, but did I dent it? Oh my gosh. It looks like it's got a Gumby. Anyway, so let's get into some things. So LaTisha asked Tisha, did she kind of see where Stormy was coming from when Stormy called Marceau a Beyond? Right? I was like, oh, because for me, the way she asked it was like there was a part of her that could see where Stormy was coming from. So I was like, whoa. So Tisha said no. She also said after the bowling alley, because remember, Marceau, Tisha, Courtney, and Stormy met up at the bowling alley. So Tisha said after the bowling alley scene, that's when her relationship with Stormy and her respect for Stormy changed. She said she doesn't communicate like that with her friends, and she doesn't communicate like that with her husband. And listen, I can't blame Tisha for that. I didn't like that either. And I felt like it was kind of out of pocket. And then she kept saying it. And I was like, Stormy, really? Like, I don't know. I felt like if Tisha was really your friend, it wouldn't have really went down that way. But see, here's the thing. I don't know that their friendship was born of naturally wanting to get to know each other. I feel like it was more, I personally, me, Taria, feel like it was more of the enemy of my enemy is now my friend. And remember, Mel and Stormy were tight, but then Stormy said that Mel ghosted her. And then Tisha was like, oh, that's just how she is. Ba, 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 ba. Then all of a sudden, Stormy and Tisha started getting closer. They were doing their Instagram reels and all of that, out to dinner after the reunion last year and cutting up in front of Black earlier this year. But now your new friend is disrespecting your husband. So I don't think that their friendship was ever really born out of authenticity. Again, it was the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I'm honestly not surprised that their friendship fell out, because Tisha, you ain't really know Stormy like that, but you just knew that you and Mel wasn't cool. Her and Mel wasn't cool. Boom, we're all on the show together. Taria's opinion, again, that's my opinion. Now, Tisha said that when she told Mars, so I'm sorry, so they got it. I'm just pulling out different things. It's in no particular order. Like I said, just what stuck out to me. So they started talking about becoming who they are, right, through the show and all of that. So Tisha said when she told Marceau she wanted to go back to get her second master's in real estate development, although he had projects going on, he was like, okay, I'm going to hold it down, the household, while you go to school and travel and you do your stuff with your projects. It's a little different than what we initially saw, because remember back in, was it season 1 or season 2, when Mel took Tisha to a luncheon to introduce her to people that she could connect with and get business with. Marceau didn't like it. So this is a little different than what we saw. What she's saying happened, and it could have, but it's a little different than what we saw. Now, LaTisha said she agreed with Melody about the name change ceremony. She said she was thinking of doing something similar, had her and Glendale. I'm going to call him Glendale because that's what Latrice on Belle Collective calls him. She said when her and Glendale, like if they didn't get back together, she thought about doing a similar thing. So she agrees with it. She then asked Tisha what she thought. Tisha basically tried to explain where Kimmy was coming from about having a different last name and the world seeing Black women as single mothers. So she was going to stay out of that. That's what Tisha said. So then LaTisha said, I'm going to stay out of it too. I love Kimmy. Thought that was a little bit interesting. LaTisha asked Tisha how it feels with her cousin Kiki being on the show and basically coming for her. Tisha said it was extremely difficult because their daughters are the same age and best friends. And y'all, I thought that was really sad because evidently at one point, Tisha and Kiki, best friends, not far off from the same age, all of that stuff, hung around each other. And now their daughters are the same age and are best friends, and yet they don't get along. So Tisha said she tries not to say too much because she doesn't want to cause even more problems. She wants Kiki to keep her and her family's name, though, out of her mouth because she has a lot to focus on. She said Kiki got a lot to focus on that does not include Tisha. But if she were to talk, meaning Tisha, if Tisha said if she were to talk, she could do some damage, and she doesn't want to do that. So she really wants Kiki to just leave her alone. So I wonder how that works. Like The girls are older, I think. I don't know if she means her older daughter. I think that's 12, or her younger one. How does that work with the play dates and all of that? Because they're family and they're best friends. So I can't even imagine the position that, that could put them in. So that's sad. LaTisha asked Tisha, how has her experience been on Love and Marriage Huntsville? Tell y'all what Tisha said. Tisha said, overall, her experience has been great. She said her marriage has never been tested like this before, and you never know what you can survive until you're actually tested. She said the show has strengthened her relationship with her and her husband and her family and her kids. They now call each other the Fab Five. So that's funny because my last name is Faison. I have 3 children, 26, 21, and 19. And then, of course, the hubby. And so we call our family group chat, but we've called ourselves the Fab Faison Five. So I just thought that was cute. And I can identify a little bit with that. But again, she said, so her relationship's been strengthened with her family, her kids. They call each other the Fab Five. She said that she started to almost cry. And so LaTisha said, you're not get ready to cry. Are you, Tisha? Are you crying? And she said, I'm trying not to. She was trying to hold it in, but she said that on this show, she has really been tested, even with her and Kimmy's relationship. Now, I thought this was interesting. She said her and Kimmy's relationship was so good before the show, but the show tested that relationship as well. Although she still trusts Kimmy and their family, their relationship is not the same as it used to be. And I thought that was kind of sad. She said it's not the same. And that's one of the things that she doesn't like that the show has done. Do y'all think the show did it, or do y'all think them being on the show and maybe some of them starting to feel themselves, smell themselves, or see themselves, that's what changed and not necessarily the show itself? What do y'all think? She said that she was very protected before. And this goes back to, I think, Kimmy had said at the reunion last year that Tisha was spoiled, remember? So she said that she was very protected before. And yes, she's had bullies in school, but not to the level of the show. Now she's talking about the fans. And then she said this, which I didn't particularly care for. She said she didn't know how hateful Black females could be towards one another. So when I was taking the notes, I was taking these notes on my phone and did the eye emoji, like, yeah. She said she's glad she's doing the show with her family, with Marceau, with Maurice and Kimmy. They can lean on and encourage one another when they're dealing with this stuff because they're going through this together. They can use each other as a support system. And she has an amazing group of real girlfriends off camera. I get it. I know the demographic watching this show. I just cringe sometimes when I hear stuff like that said, as far as she didn't know how hateful Black females can be. How about just people in general? Again, I get it. I just, LaTisha said she found herself and her voice on reality TV. She said she was so scared she'll never forget her first confessional. The producers asked Glendale to leave, and she didn't want him to leave because she felt like he could carry the conversation and she could just follow his lead. She said it was like he's the man. And then she said to Tisha, remember, I was you. I was like, how many times is this lady gonna say this? So basically, she was saying she was scared. During her first confessional, Glenn was basically her support. She knew Glendale could lead the conversation. She would follow his lead. He was the man. He was the leader. And then she looked at Tisha and said, remember, I was you. I was like, okay. So then Tisha from Huntsville said to LaTisha, one thing I want to say about you and Glenn is that I'm glad you put your own story out there yourself and basically not one of your cast members trying to make your relationship look a certain way. Now, remember, this is supposed to be LaTisha's segment now on how she found her voice on reality TV. LaTisha says to Tisha, I used to be you. Then Tisha interrupts and says, one thing I want to say about you and Glenn in your marriage, I'm glad that you all put it out there and not one of your cast members trying to make your relationship look a certain way. She said that was her mistake. She didn't fight back against what her castmates were trying to say about her marriage because she felt like people, meaning the viewers, would use their common sense. And by that happening, meaning the stuff being said about her marriage, she felt like that set the stage for the next 5 years of what people thought about her marriage. And she feels bad for anybody that went through it. And she's not knocking anybody that went through infidelity. But if it's not your story, it's not your story. She didn't go through it. And then she said, there's innocent. Oh, she said she didn't go through it. She said there's innocent people in jail right now because they confessed to something they didn't do, because they get tired of people beating them up about it or trying to convince them. She's not going to say anything about her marriage that's not true because other people on her cast were trying to paint a picture of her marriage. She said all that. Mind you, we were supposed to be on LaTisha talking about how she found her voice. Okay, that was the conversation that was on the table. Tisha picked that conversation up, put it in her purse, and brought it back out like it was her own and made it about people on her cast talking about her marriage. So after Tisha said all that, LaTisha said, well, for the record, Tisha just said there has been no infidelity, no sign of infidelity, nothing. So y'all leave her alone. And I thought that was funny because for me, if you go back and watch the video, and let me know if you have watched it and what you think. I felt like LaTisha was like, okay, girl. All right, y'all, just so y'all know, Tisha said she had no infidelity. So keep it moving, but kind of like in a little bit of a sarcastic way, kind of. I don't know. LaTisha, remember the La in front of the Tisha is Love and Marriage. I'm sorry, is Belle Collective. I was about to get my own self confused. So LaTisha from Belle Collective said she is more guarded now from the first season and second season. You learn more about your cast members and you learn more about yourself. She said people say reality TV will ruin your marriage, but she thinks it's the other cast members who want to deflect from their real lives. So now she's almost piggybacking off of what Tisha previously said. She said, do you think I wanted to have do you think I wanted to have Glenn take a DNA test on reality TV? But she knew that it could help somebody. So when Latrice called her and told her that the information was out there, because remember, Latrice is the one that called LaTisha to tell her that the information was out there. She said she was thankful that Latrice called her. Tisha then asked her, did you know that? Did you know that that information was out there? LaTisha said no. She said Glenn was married to her and the other lady was married as well. I don't think I knew that. If they said it, I don't remember them saying that, but she said the other lady was married as well. And the news got out there. And so Latrice called her and told her, hey, girl, this is out there about Glendale. She said she basically confronted Glenn and said, you need to tell me what's going on. And then she said that Glenn is also thankful for reality TV and Kingdom Reign because having him take the test, I'm sorry. She said that Glenn said he's thankful for reality TV and Kingdom Reign because it forced him to take a test because she didn't know that it was something that was even bothering Glenn every day. The way she said that would be like, and we were forced to do this thing and I'm so glad because he was being bothered by it every day. He should have been. He's the one that created the mess. Let me not get too hyper. But so she said, again, I'm going to say it again, that Glenn said he was thankful for reality TV and Kingdom Reign, Carlos King's company that produces Belle Collective, because it forced him to take a test because it had been bothering him every day, like eating him up. Evidently, she found out that he had been trying to contact this woman throughout the years and was like, listen, I grew up without a father. And if he had a child out there with her, he didn't want that child growing up without a father. But she never said if the lady answered him back or didn't. She just said Glenn contacted her. So Tisha asked her, did the lady's husband know that there was a possibility that the child wasn't his? Y'all, LaTisha said she's not in their household, so she doesn't know. He, wow. Again, I go back to, I didn't know the other lady was married. Like, this is a lot. Okay. Tisha then asked her about her and Glenn. How are they? What are they doing right now? How did they basically reestablish trust? And so LaTisha said Glenn is a totally different person now, and that they started going on dates, trying to rebuild that trust back. She said she's still dealing with how do you rebuild the trust? She said they say it takes 21 days to start a habit or break a habit, but she needs more than 21 days to build trust with Glenn. You think? Tisha then asked her if she thought she was being selfish because Glenn is trying to prove himself to her. And LaTisha said no. Then she said, you know what? I may be. I may be being selfish, but I'm not apologetic for being selfish for loving myself once. So those are just some of the things that stood out. Again, if y'all watched it, let me know and let me know what y'all thought. And let me know what you felt about the dynamic. I felt like Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville really wanted to make it known, y'all, my husband is not out here cheating on me. Y'all stop saying that. It was my cast members that put that out. So again, I just thought that was really interesting. So let me know what y'all think. Now I'm going to jump over to Married to Medicine. Miss Quad, does she got it, honey? By now, I'm sure you've saw the things on social media, heard everybody talk about it. So I've talked about it on a previous video. So if you don't know, there were some comments between Quad and some viewers of the show. So let's start out. We're going to start out with the first comment. I had it in my email, but y'all trying to download and all that. I didn't quite download it, and I'm trying to do that right now. So I'm just going to read it. So of course, y'all know that someone said, I hope the rumor isn't true. You are only in 2 more episodes. If that's the case, I'll be done watching. Quad said, it's not, in quote, in caps, a rumor. Unfortunately, it's true. I'm forced to leave in episode 7. Notice the words, I'm forced to leave in episode 7. However, let's try to focus on the positive. At least I'm there for 2 more episodes. Somebody else commented to her, they don't understand how she's still thriving single while keeping her life private and not sleeping with a man to maintain her. At Absolutely Quad, you are a force girl. Sunday's episode was cringy because either you want to move forward or you don't. Keep asking why you ain't called when they haven't called either is weird to me. At the end of the day, the phone works both ways. So if we all gonna take accountability, why ain't nobody apologizing for not calling, but expecting apologies for someone else not calling with laughing? Then the person has 4 laughing emojis. Then they said the irony. Now, I'm just gonna read it how they wrote it. I know money, not erasing common sense in the ATL. Quad responded back, it's all just an excuse to push me off the show. Accountability is universal. It goes both ways. Someone else commented to Quad, why you leaving? I'm not sure why they brought your ex back, but he and his wife should leave and you stay because I'm not enjoying them on the show at all. Okay. Hope you stay for good with 2 hearts and the praying hands. Quad responded back, me leaving was not my choice. I was forced to leave. As disheartening as it is, there's no value for me after all of these years. Someone else responded to Quad and said, still grappling with the fact that they forced you off of Married to Medicine. This is devastating news for me because you were always my favorite since day one. And the main reason I have consistently watched Married to Medicine for all of these years. Unbelievable. Quad responds, it's all about having control, in all caps, over me. I'm just keeping it real. Someone else responded, Miss Quad is the best part of that boring show. I said what I said. Quad responded, well, try to respect what the other ladies bring to the show, but I'm not valued. Someone else said, At Absolutely Quad, how do they kick off an OG who was married to medicine to bring in someone whose affiliation with medicine is an emoji face that never graced our screen? I'm confused. Quad responded back, unfair and wanting to ride the housewives wave, thinking that it would bring more ratings, but we learned it didn't. Truth is the truth. So, of course, that part was about Phaedra. I don't know, y'all. I think the choice of wording is on purpose. You know, she's saying they forced her out. And I believe I mentioned in my last video that that was the rumor, that basically she was going to be asked to leave. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the last video, I think. It's interesting. Again, whether you agreed or liked or wanted Mariah on the show, and whether you thought none of the ladies liked her and she should have got off the show, even if Quad didn't bring up, hey, let's take a vote, you participated in the vote. You know what I'm saying? And now here you are, according to your words, being forced off the show. I think it's a shame. I really do. It does seem like what goes around comes around. Again, I'm not saying that Quad is responsible for Mariah being off the show. All of those ladies voted. They took a vote, these grown women at a table. However, I have to say, now, Quad, you're sitting in that same seat as Mariah. Justified or not, you are now the subject of being voted out of the group. And you took part in someone else being the subject beforehand. So it's a shame. I think all of the ladies add value to the group. And I loved Mariah, and I wish that she was back on the show. I thought every single lady brought something to the group. And I think it's sad that it is playing out this way. I am very curious now to see these next couple of episodes and see how she was forced out of the group. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all agree with some of these comments that Quad is the reason for the season, child? She like Jesus, the reason for the season, for Married to Medicine. What do y'all think? Now, this last story doesn't have anything to do with reality TV, but it definitely could. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but do y'all remember the IG video of the woman throwing her Chipotle bowl at a worker at Chipotle? Check this out. Ohio woman who threw Chipotle burrito bowl at employees sentenced to work in fast food for 2 months. A judge sentenced the burrito bowl assailant to 2 months of fast food work in lieu of 60 days in jail. But check this out. An Ohio woman who threw her freshly made Chipotle burrito bowl in the face of the employee who made it for her is about to learn a lesson in customer service. Rosemary Hain, 39, we're going to call you out again because what you did was trifling. And you are lucky that the girl didn't come from behind the counter, child, and make you a part of the guacamole and all that other stuff. You threw a bowl in her face because you didn't like it. So Rosemary Hain, 39, was originally sentenced to 180 days in jail at a November 28th hearing that occurred after the video of her hurling her food at the employee went viral. Parma Municipal Court Judge Timothy P. Gilligan then suspended 90 of those 180 days and gave Hain an interesting option for the remainder of her 90-day sentence. So I want to be very clear because it could get confusing. She was going to be sentenced to 180 days in jail, and then the judge suspended 90, which would then have given her a remainder of 90 days that she had to spend in jail. However, she could spend 60 fewer days in jail if she spent those 2 months working at a fast food restaurant for 20 hours a week. So basically, the 90 days that she has left, if she worked at a fast food restaurant for 60 of those days, 20 hours a week, she then would only basically have to serve 30 days in jail. So you didn't get your burrito bowl the way you like it. And this is how you respond, Judge Gilligan said during sentencing. Cleveland station WJW reported, "This is not Real Housewives of Parma. This behavior is not acceptable." Said, come on, Judge. So Rosemary Hain agreed to the deal, prompting Judge Gilligan to delay her jail time until March 12th, 2024, so she has enough time to secure a job and complete the agreed upon hours. So she's going to complete the agreed upon hours at a fast food restaurant and then go and do her 30 days in jail. The judge said, do you want to walk in her shoes for 2 months and learn how people should treat people, or do you want to do your jail time? I'd like to walk in her shoes, she responded. After apologizing to the employee, 17-year-old Emily Russell, in court, Rosemary told the judge she acted that way because she didn't like the look of her burrito bowl. She threw a hot burrito bowl at the employee because she didn't like the look of it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the employee had remade it over for her once already. So now we're on the second burrito bowl. And this is what she said in court. It's what she said. If I showed you how my food looked and how my food looked a week later from that same restaurant, it's disgusting. Girl, you said that in court. According to WJW, they reported the judge said, I bet you won't be happy with the food you're going to get in jail. That was in response to what she said. The video of the incident, captured by cell phone at the Chipotle in the Cleveland suburb of Parma, shows Hain appearing to yell at Russell, the employee, who appeared to give Hain her burrito bowl at the register. Hain then threw the hot food right back at Russell, who appears shocked before storming out of the store. A bystander appears to try to stop Hain from exiting the store, with the pair erupting into a screaming match by the restaurant's front door. The employee told NBC News affiliate in Cleveland, WKYC, that she thinks Judge Gilligan's decision is fair, and she wants Hain to experience what working in fast food is really like. The employee ended up quitting her job at Chipotle because she was traumatized by the event, adding that she supported the judge's sentence. She's going to get what she deserves. She's going to learn how to work in fast food, and hopefully it will be good. Judge Gilligan told WJW he wanted to teach Hain a lesson in her sentencing. So I thought, why should the city taxpayers pay for her and feed her for 90 days in jail if I could teach her a sense of empathy? Hain was also ordered to serve 2 months of probation and refrain from having contact with the victim. Y'all are getting out of pocket. Again, Hain, who threw the bowl, Rosemary Hain, is lucky. Like, to me, working in fast food for 60 days and then going to jail for 30, girl, you got off light, because that could have been your behind. It really could have been. Had Emily Russell came across that counter and snatched the craziness out of you. Like, how dare you? You don't like how it looks, so you throw. Can y'all imagine? I worked fast food. My first job was in 8th grade. I worked at a fruit stand. And then my next job, I worked at McDonald's for a couple of years in high school. Let me tell you, like, to throw food at because you didn't like the look of it. The girl didn't toss it to you when she gave it to you. You didn't like how your food looked, so you threw it at her. Well, Emily, I am sorry that you felt traumatized and had to leave your job, and I pray nothing but good things for you. According to another report that I heard, she didn't feel supported by Chipotle. The bowl was thrown in her face. Her face was irritated and red because it was hot. The stuff was hot. She said she called her mom, cried, went back and finished the 4 hours left in her shift, then went to the hospital and was released. And Chipotle wanted her back at work the next day. So now, from what I understand, she's now working at Raising Cane's, which someone was just talking to me about Raising Cane's last night. So I need to go try their chicken tenders. So let me know if y'all have tried Raising Cane. But y'all, be safe and be careful. People are out here just doing anything. But thank y'all so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.